Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Oh Look, It's a Squirrel. Now, the biggest squirrel, I think, for the moment, since everything's calmed down, as you've looked around, everything's kind of chilled a little bit. There's not so much like about. They've kind of backed off. They've kind of I think they've realised that the more they push now, the kind of pushback's it's not equal. There's a bit more pushback than push forward. So I don't know if you remember me talking about the push stop. We're at the stop, and I've noticed this just from regular stuff, looking at regular news. There's not so much like propaganda, but what I've noticed is all the squirrels have come out. From gay cake, like for real. The person trapped their kid in a boot to take them to a test centre for a check. Couldn't write this stuff. Pretty simple to see. And it's kind of, well, I hate to say it, but it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. There's not a lot to really talk about, and I heard a few things that are quite interesting, but there's no verification of them, so I don't really particularly want to bring them up. But they're to do with other viruses. But even that's been played down. When you'd think if they were on the push, it would be, oh my God, everybody, watch out, there's a new, and they haven't done it. So. And the Kazakhstan thing, I think, is quite interesting. Problem, reaction, solution. Is that in play? Looks like it to me. Fuel shortages. People, that's the problem. Reaction, lots of rioting, lots of protesting. Solution, just blast everybody. It seems to be, I think they've given the order to, pew pew, which... brain mashing that kind of decision can come down from a government. Hopefully that's not the case here and where you are. No doubt it'll probably come to that at some point. Once their push bit doesn't push anymore, and then we start the push without the stop, because we will just push and push and push and push and push. And then they will panic, and there will be carnage, I guess, is the only way to put it. Won't be looking forward to that. But for me, it's kind of inevitable, I guess. It's a difficult one, trying to see through this kind of period of time where, excuse me a moment, where we kind of, there's like a stalemate. And if you've obviously seen a game of chess, the point where they're like this, seriously boring, go make a cup of tea, go and eat something sort of time. So, yeah, it's a weird one. Even kind of the whole of YouTube is kind of grasping for stuff now. I see everyone's kind of focused back on good old Joe, the biggest, smallest squirrel of them all, but the most famous squirrel, I think, is, oh, look at him, he can't talk. Oh, look at him, he can't think. Oh, yeah, it's been going on a while. I think that's kind of burnt out, but I see a lot of channels still pushing it's kind of mean. I'm not a fan of politics in any way, any side, in any country. But I think it's kind of mean that we just keep going after this old guy. It's to me, it's a bit weird. It's a bit, at the start it was kind of needed because, well, he was voted in, or was he? Let's not go into that at all. Yeah, it's just weird time we're going through at the moment. It's this kind of stalling progress for any of us, for our side, their side. I don't see much going on. Not a lot of people are coming out. All these faces that we heard, all these news stations that were doing all this mass bloody thing. But there's one thing that I've seen come up, and it's about mass psychosis. It's a weird one, that is, because I just heard that word and thought that really kind of rounds it up. It really, I think, was it Dr. Malone on Joe Rogan's podcast? I don't know if you've seen that. Definitely worth a listen to. It's the guy who has the patent for the mRNA vaccines, I believe. He's now speaking out against what's happening, and of course he's been ridiculed and he's been, branded this and a complete loony and all this other stuff. But massively intelligent guy, immunologist and virologist, an expert, top of the game, in some of the most revered people in the world in that game. Knows Fauci very well, has worked with him, all this kind of stuff. Definitely worth a listen to. If you can jump on some of Rogan's stuff. There's a couple of clips on YouTube of people who've just cut bits out, which I found interesting, but I wanted to hear the whole thing from the horse's mouth, unedited. So I went to Spotify and had a quick 3-hour listen. And it was definitely interesting, because he brought up the mass psychosis about focusing on one point, which we all know what the one point is. It's the old COVID, and it's has been for 2 years. It's been like some kind of weird psyop of just make everything connect to this one single point, and that seems to be what they've done, to the point where people are doing the most incredibly ridiculous things because of the fear, because of this narrative that's happened for obviously 2 years, or probably a bit more than 2 years, but I think it's really concentrated since the old so yeah, it's the mass psychosis thing seems to really be quite rampant. I see it in a lot of news articles where it's just COVID. And driven a lot of people mad by the sounds of it. Where literally any time you talk about anything, it comes up in a conversation. Like, think about it. Before this came about, what were we talking about? We were talking about 1,100 million, billion, trillion other things that were going on. But now they've all been pushed aside, and there's nothing else to talk about. Just hearing people talking in supermarkets, that's all they talk about. You look at some of the bullshit things on TV, it's all they talk about. Even the soaps, it's all they talk about. Talk shows, guess what they talk about? And it's that, for me, is quite alarming. It's quite an alarming, because it's obviously very noticeable, and I'm sure all you listening have noticed that is literally everything today. Anything, bang me knee, it must be that. Oh, look at the weather, it must be that. The weather's, football's not so good, it's definitely to COVID. It's just, and I find that is part of the mass psychosis. People have got this kind of set-in depression that even when things stop, this solid line of depression. And it's incredible. It's like the tools these people use are absolutely astonishingly effective. And I think as long as you know what the tools are, and they're not something you can't explain, it's not something you can't relate to, just research these things. Mass psychosis. Go and read. see what it actually is. It's been used in history a few times. Yeah. Quite notably at one stage. And it's happened. And we're now on the end of it, where the effect has been implanted. So they could literally stop doing it now, but it will carry on. And I find that quite easy to acknowledge, just speaking to regular people. I'm sure just yourselves going out and about, doing your daily thing. There's no way in or out of anywhere without someone talking about putting over your face, the whole conversations. Are you? How many have you had? All this kind of stuff. It's just bullshit. It's just that's the only thing in people's brains at the moment. People have forgotten about regular flu. People have forgotten about colds. People have forgotten about cancer. People have forgotten about like everything. Everything's just been like kind of deleted from society. Yet it's all still there, and it's all far more prominent now than it was before. Yet somehow it's not there. Crazy, 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 crazy. So listen, tell me what you think after you've had a little research on mass psychosis, and how this whole thing has kind of done a full circle now, where we're all, you know, the whole YouTube thing now is Biden and, you know, squirrels, 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 squirrels. That's all it is at the moment. There's no, you know, even the big picture, even the big picture channels are struggling to not recycle something that they've basically been going on about. It's just recycle, recycle, recycle. And I think it's something we've got to point out is don't fall for the mass psychosis on our side. We've got to, you know, we've got to stay fresh. We've got to keep our minds on all these different things that they're trying to scrub away. You know, I think Motivolic, I think it is, are just spouting the same stuff, like 73 million different ways, which, yeah, I did say it's great to get another perspective, but it's when it's from the same person, 70 bloody videos in a row. What's the agenda there? What's the intent behind that? Because to me, it just sounds like when I read some of the comments in, is it Max Iger is the flavour of the month for them at the moment. All I hear is the same stuff. No one's talking about this. Everybody's forgotten about this. No one's aware of this. And it's like they're really condescending titles constantly. And yes, we are aware of it. Yes, we know about it. And yes, we are talking about it. You know, to say nobody's talking about this. Madness. That's as mad as this other shit that's going on. So, to all my 82 subscribers now, I'm amazed. I am genuinely amazed. It's well funny. To my 82 subs, stay focused. Get out and get some air. Come back and get some info, knowledge, all this kind of stuff. But just keep your game changing. Keep your. Don't get into some monotonous. Do this all day. Look at this shit all day, all night, all day, all night, all day, day after day after day. Don't do that. Get a change of scenery. Like, get outside, get a bit of nature. It's very reviving, and it keeps you focused because it's thinking space. It's fine to think about stuff all the time, but try and focus on giving yourself a bit of energy, because this psychosis thing that's going around, it's very easily put on you by other people because that's all they want to talk about. And it's sometimes good, even if you kind of do want to talk about it, it's good to say no, you know what I mean? Something else, just to keep yourself balanced, because that's a big thing I think at the moment, is keeping balanced. Because watching all this stuff about Biden and Boris Johnson and whatever the Prime Minister is in your country, watching this stuff over and over and over again, when you know the characters, you know their intent, There's not much else to learn about them. They might say something daft. They might not be able to read a teleprompter. They might not be able to bloody run a bath, never mind run a country. Stop focusing on it. It's pointless. It's squirrel bullshit. Or squirrel shit. So, but listen, let's leave it there and take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones, as usual. I am. Got my dad in the back watching a bit of footy. So I thought I'd come and do a quick-ish video, 15 minutes or so, and just get a bit of a mix going on, because I think that's important. There's a lot of boredom going on at the moment, and just fill your time with something good. I even turned my studio back on to start making a bit more music again, because I find that's a really nice escape for me. Whatever your thing is, your go-to thing. Because I find time is taken away. There's been so much shit in the last 2 years that it's kind of taken away everybody's kind of inner wants, and it's this focusing on the outer stuff. And I think it's time to ground ourselves, because when this push starts again, it's going to be hardcore. I really do think it is, and we want to be ready for it. So catch you on the next one. Be good to yourself. Get some nature, and let's see where we are in a couple of days. All right? Check you later.
Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like or dislike.